How can you have a sign like that?
My whole family is involved in the criminal justice system in Alabama, and I'm very unhappy with the racist front attached to it because it is simply not true.
You must be misinformed. There is a bunch of racial bias in the criminal justice system.
Sorry, but you guys are wrong. Evidence from the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program found that while black people make up just 13% of the population, they made up 33% of people arrested for non-fatal violent crime. There is a court system for a reason. Everyone who is incarcerated is done so fairly.
This is exactly the problem. African Americans are being discriminated against in the criminal justice system, resulting in a higher crime rate.
Could you prove it to me? Have there been any cases of this that could prove your point?
Yes, of course. Take, for example, the Breonna Taylor case.
On March 13, 2020, law enforcement officers forced their way into the apartment of Breonna Taylor, gunning her down and eventually killing her. The officers were a part of a botched narcotics raid, and Taylor was never meant to be involved in the first place. Despite the severity and misconduct of the crime, none of the officers, who fired a total of 32 rounds, faced criminal charges directly over her killing. For the 3 officers involved in the shooting, only 3 criminal counts of wanton endangerment were handed down to 1, and the other 2, who fired a total of 22 rounds, including the fatal round, were not charged at all. Even worse, investigations went on, trying to label Taylor as some sort of accomplice or criminal, despite police finding no evidence to tie her to the drug deals. Such rulings sparked outrage in the community and seem to have come to be seen as a result of racial bias. You brought up a good point there, but that's just one instance. Also, we cannot simply assume that there is racism involved in those cases. Take, for example, the George Floyd case. He was unjustly killed, but the issue was addressed, and the officer was punished accordingly. This proves that the justice system is fair and does not discriminate based on race.
That is debatable. Even before George Floyd was killed, he was a victim of systematic racism. George Floyd spent a significant amount of time as a young man in jail due to minor convictions. In August 1997, Floyd was arrested for delivering less than a gram of cocaine. He was sentenced to 6 months in jail and was the first of at least 9 arrests in Harris County over the course of a decade, mostly for low-level drug crimes or theft. Floyd's 2004 conviction, a $10 drug deal that earned him 10 months behind bars, is now under review because the arresting officer is suspected of fabricating evidence in dozens of low-level drug cases, leading to the Harris County District Attorney to request a posthumous pardon for Floyd. This shows that the criminal justice system did not deal with convictions of Black people with care. Additionally, the jail that Floyd was imprisoned in for the longest time was a private prison in a predominantly white town, where the jail housed mostly minority inmates that generated a third of the town's budget.
I see your point there, but I'm conflicted because I strongly believe that we should always abide by the law and have faith in the criminal justice system. However, I'm starting to be convinced that there is some bias in the system. But still, these 2 cases do not represent the whole picture.
Well, here, we have another case to prove you wrong.
In February 2020, Ahmaud Arbery was jogging down the streets of Brunswick until he came before the lawns of Gregory and Travis McMichael, along with their neighbor William Bryan. The McMichaels armed themselves with a shotgun and a pistol, thinking that Arbery seemed like a suspect of local break-ins that have had no records with the local police. Gregory McMichael claimed that Arbery had attacked his son, causing him to open fire with his shotgun, killing Arbery, all while William Bryan filmed the incident with his smartphone. Judge Walmsley of the trial swore in a disproportionate jury of 11 white jurors and only 1 black juror, despite the county of the court having an African American population of 26%. The defense attorney struck down 11 black jurors before deciding on the current jury, making the trial seem skewed towards the defendants. This shows that the defense attorneys are exploiting the system by selecting a skewed jury. Even worse, the judge officiated the jury, showing that the racial bias runs deep in the justice system.
These examples of judicial wrongdoing are not just single events. They're synonymous with the entirety of the criminal justice system. These must be addressed.
I definitely see the issue you have brought up, but criminals are still dangerous, and too much mercy for them will harm our society. How do you think we can balance justice and mercy in the criminal justice system?
Just and mercy do not have to be conflicting. Instead, they can balance each other out. More compassion towards the weak and the poor will strengthen the sense of humanity in society while giving everyone a chance at improving their life. A suitable amount of mercy should be given to marginalized groups while ensuring the justness of the legal process, so justice and mercy can work together within the criminal justice system.
Thank you guys for informing me on this issue. If more people were to bring awareness and educate others, like what you guys are doing, I think we could come a step closer to achieving equality in a criminal justice system. If people's voices are heard, legislation that protects marginalized groups from institutional bias is more likely to be passed. This includes laws protecting not only African Americans, but also other racial minorities, women, as well as children.